As mentioned, in this module, we are going to build the Coach Finder app. So a web application, a website built with Vue.js, which should help us find a coach that, for example, helps us become better in web development, whatever. And for this website, this web app, which we're going to build, will have two main features. It has the Find a Coach feature, and it has a feature to send requests, messages to potential coaches which we want to contact. Now, for the Find a Coach part, we want to be able to list all available coaches, so all the coaches that signed up with our application. We want to be able to view the coach details. We will be able to register as a coach, and we'll be able to contact a coach. Now, the Contact a Coach feature also establishes the connection to the other part of this web app, the requests part. We will be able to send such requests to coaches, and as a coach, we can view incoming requests so that we then potentially can reply to them. This is the app, the web app we're going to build, and the focus of this module will of course be on adding as many key Vue features as possible so that you get a very good idea of how building real Vue apps works. Now for that, before we write any code, we of course want to plan the app. We want to have a clear plan on which code we need to write. Because even though we haven't done this thus far in the course, since it's a Vue course, this actually will be a major part of any app you're building. You need a plan, which then of course is allowed to change over time, but you need an initial plan before you start working. Otherwise, you don't know which code to write. Now, there is no single right blueprint to follow. There are tons of different ways of planning an application, and here's just one possible way of doing that. I like to start by defining the key features of the app I want to build. So in this case, Find a Coach and requests, and then the sub-features that belong to these areas, like listing all coaches, registering as a coach, sending messages, and so on. Now, once the features are defined, we can do two very important things. The first important thing which we can do is that we can derive the data we need, the data models we need, and in the Vue world, they are for the Vuex store layout we want. We can plan our application-wide state and our getters, and also the actions and mutations we will most likely need. Now, from experience, I can tell you, typically you will plan something, and then once you start building the app, your plans change, and you add more actions or different actions and different mutations than initially planned, because it turns out to work better. And that is okay. I'm not a fan of planning for days before you get started. I rather get started quickly, but a rough plan definitely won't hurt. Now, the other important part, which is not necessarily the second step, you can also start with that other part, is that you derive the design, the layout of this application, and you plan which components you need and how these components are related. This also includes the part where you plan your routes, which you want to set up with Vue Router. So which different pages do you want to have? Now, when I say design here, I don't necessarily mean the colors and the font or something like that, because whilst this of course is a part, often that will be done by some designer for you. I personally am not a designer, so my designs look okay-ish, but not great. I'm really talking about the Vue part, so the components and how these components are related. These are the major two things we want to do, and therefore these are the steps I'll start with in the next lecture.